Ooh, tonight we got FNF and the Dirty Dozen on Rampage for Risen Esports. Are you excited, my guy?
I am totally excited. We have an undefeated team going against a team who has a pretty good record, 5-2 is FNF, as they try to take on Dirty Dozen and give them their first defeat of the season. We are going to be getting the champ select in just a second, but yeah, how are you feeling the matchup for this one so far?
Honestly, I haven't seen much of these guys. I remember I did do a practice casting game with these guys, and FNF just absolutely dominated the enemy team. So I really do actually have high hopes for FNF, and I honestly think they're gonna come out on top just because I haven't seen much of the Dirty Dozen. What are
Yeah,
your
we are
thoughts?
getting we are getting the R's from both sides. Gonna throw it in, get us into champion select soon enough so we can actually start analyzing the draft and have something to really base this off other than just scores.
They are in fact in Champion Select now. So let's see what kind of bans come out from FNF here. I'm kind of curious if they'll just be going for meta picks or if they're actually going to try and target ban the Dirty Dozen here.
Wouldn't surprise me to see target bans, especially against an undefeated team. You know they're doing something right.
Sejuani's a great ban overall. Sejuani just absolutely dominates in every single game. The Shen ban, I'm a little bit curious about because honestly, I hate to underestimate these guys, but they are bronze and silver. I'm not quite sure about that map awareness. But if they do have right callouts, I definitely think that is a good ban.
I mean, to be fair, the top laner for FNF does play quite a bit of Shen, has an 80% win rate in ranked with it, so
Ooh, that's actually pretty spicy. I'm not gonna lie.
spicy indeed.
Oriana ban coming out here. I'm not sure how meta Oriana is here. I actually think she just gets stomped by a couple other mid laners, so I'm not quite sure how good that one is. Most likely a target ban. Zac pick, though. I definitely really like that. If they do go for a more dive-oriented comp, I honestly think it could work really well if they execute it right. But we have to see what they pick first.
The part that's interesting me is how focused the bans were on supports. Janna, Tom Kench, Braum all banned out in that first phase.
Yeah, I find that really interesting. I would think more hypercarry stuff like Gangplank and just mid laners that could absolutely dominate would be banned, but instead, stuff like Shen, Janna, Braum, and Tom Kench, just stuff that, to me, as an ADC player, just doesn't seem like strong bans. Like, they're not that important. I mean, Shen, not so much. Shen can be flexed into top and support, so I actually think that's a really good ban, but the other one's not so much.
To be fair enough, Mighty Short tends to play a whole lot of Braum. It's his most played champion of the season, so it does make sense to try and take that out. But everything else, maybe a little of overkill on these supports.
Indeed. The Zoe pick is actually coming out here, and unfortunately, while the nerfs were announced today, they're not actually out on the patch yet, so Zoe will be strong and should just be able to shove into whatever mid laner they pick easily.
And that's the thing I hate about the Zoe. All you have to do is stay on the outside, stay in the jungle a little bit, and just poke towards that lane. So much damage, and it almost feels like it's completely free when it comes to Siege.
And I mean, to be honest, it almost is completely free. It's just so hard to actually get on that Zoe and just the one shot. It feels so bad. On this patch, when you're playing ADC or you have cleanse, you can cleanse the drowsy part, but like when you actually
Yeah.
get to sleep, you just still fall asleep and you're just so vulnerable. It's really hard to play against Zoe.
Yeah, so we do have the J4 pick coming out for the Dirty Dozen.
Which
Very
comp which
aggressive jungler.
which comp do you actually think is stronger right now? Honestly, in my eyes, I think if the Dirty Dozen can play their three picks right here better, I actually think it's a stronger comp than theirs so far.
I feel like it comes down to macro play for Friday Night Feeders. They have a comp that can work, but so far it's more aggressive for the Dirty Dozen. They have something where they want to go for the team fights, where they want to go for the engagements, but they kind of want to take this at the later part of the mid game, whereas FNF just want to play the map very carefully, utilize that Zoe poke, and most likely just go for siege potential depending on the next picks that they choose to take.
Yeah, that's true here, and I definitely think hopefully if he can do this right, the Gnar in the top lane can just keep this Camille shoved in and pressured, and that'll hopefully drag this Axe attention off of the bot lane and the mid lane, which would allow the Jarvan to actually snowball the bot and mid lane a lot more. I definitely think that's one of their big win conditions so far.
And we are getting into the second phase of bans. The Dirty Dozen really focusing on the ADC, taking out Misfortune, which is 1-2Z's most played ADC, as well as the Twitch. Still, support focus coming from FNF.
Yeah, and the mist band there that shows up is actually Thrush. So I'm just, I'm not quite sure. I follow the Twitch ban, and I understand the enemy plays a lot of Misfortune, but I feel like Misfortune can just get easily caught out by the Jarvan and Gnar, and I'm just not, and the Leona. I'm just not quite sure that was the right ban, to be honest.
Well, I mean, if you're comfortable in a pick, you're comfortable and you'll do well regardless. And maybe that's the case. Get this ADC on something that doesn't really work that well for him and get him to make mistakes outside of, in the laning phase and outside of laning phase as well.
That Ash pick there was definitely interesting. So their team comp is definitely huge on picks. If they can get a pick and try and force something, that's definitely what they're going for. While the Dirty doesn't appear to be going for a massive team fight comp. And yeah, there's the Malzahar. So we have an interesting lineup here. And honestly, if I'm just looking at team comps, I would definitely say I like the Dirty Dozens more. Because I feel like these kind of games can go slower and they force more team fights instead of for picks. And I'm just not quite sure if they can execute their comp correctly. But we'll have to see.
Okay, I'm gonna go towards FNF for this one.
Really?
Dirty doesn't. Yeah, they totally do have a team fight comp, but I totally am a sucker for when it comes to these pick comps, and FNF has picked one where as long as they establish pretty good vision, they can set up really, really potent tower sieges, and they can get devastating picks with the picks that they've actually drafted in this first game.
But I feel like they can only do that if they really get a strong lead in the beginning. So I feel like if Dirty Dozen can really actually just hold out and not lose all their lanes super early and can actually get some pressure with the jungle, then I think it just goes in their favor completely.
Yeah, I don't even think it's about the lead though. I think it all comes down to vision. If their vision is bad, FNF's comp just falls apart. That's it. And of course, Dirty doesn't have the better win condition because they just got to force an ARAM and force a fight, and they do well. So yeah, there is reason to believe Dirty doesn't can win, but if FNF play the vision game well and look to get those picks, they have a chance in this fight.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. Honestly, I don't know. I'm just excited to see how this is going to go. I'm really interested to see how this bot lane matchup is going to go specifically because they have so much more all-in compared to the Morgana and Ashe. And I want to see
Oh
if
yeah.
I want to see if FNF can actually do what they're supposed to do and be able to push in correctly, or if they're just going to get all in by Leona and Triss and just get one shot. So my eyes are definitely going to be focused on that because I really feel like they're going to be the ones that are going to really decide this game around bot lane here.
Yeah, and it's hard to argue against that. I mean, they've taken the J4 and Leona. That's already deadly enough. It's going to be really, really hard for the bot lane of FNF to survive if the focus for the Dirty Dozen is down there.
And I mean, they do have the Black Shield, so if Leona or Malzahar tries to engage and the Black Shield is on them, this Ashe can just freely walk away and actually ult and try and get a pick off of it. So they
Ooh,
do
the
have to be
Black
careful
Shield
with
doesn't
that.
save you for Cataclysm, though.
Well, it does not save you from Cataclysm. That is true. But if you do have your flash and if you are positioning well and have Morgana, Camille, Zoe, and Zac to all peel you, that shouldn't be that much of a problem.
In theory, in theory.
In theory, yes.
Because
Everything is in theory. We gotta understand we're gonna get into this game. We're gonna see some things that we probably shouldn't see. And that's the great thing about this. That's why I love Rampage.
I mean, when it all comes down to it, if the Dirty Dozen are allowed to play the style they want to play, they have a really easy win condition. Get a Cataclysm on as many people as possible, Solar Flare, easy setup to go ahead and start picking off people and let both the Tristana and Gnar go to town on it.
Oh yeah, man. Now I gotta ask this, with the rune changes, do you still think people are gonna be taking all the stopwatches and everything?
Possibly. I mean, it still has some cost efficiency there, and it still can absolutely save your life in the early game. I expect to see a little bit less of it, though.
Yeah, I've been noticing when I play my games, I actually haven't noticed a single other AD player take stopwatch, and I've played about 20 or 30 games since this change, and it baffles me. And I mean, the games are a lot quicker. There's so much more action going on in the bot lane. But I'm just not quite sure if people are actually going to be able to change here in the competitive scene, because I think they're just going to want to have that extra safety in the bot lane just in case they go for that play. So I still think stopwatch will be the meta pick here in competitive play compared to solo queue, because solo queue You're really trying to actually just snowball your lead as much as possible. When here you might be playing a little bit more reserved. So I honestly think that we'll see stopwatches on Zoe, Asher, Morgana, Malzahar, and Tristana. But every other than that, I think we'll see some different stuff.
I don't expect it as much on Tristana. I believe you should go for the more aggressive rune setup. For the Ashe, definitely though. I mean, look what the Ashe has to go against. How do you
Yeah,
escape that without having more tricks at your disposable at your
honestly,
disposal? So
I'll be a little bit disappointed if I don't see a stopwatch on that Ash. That'll be that'll be disappointing. But we're actually gonna go into an intermission here because we're gonna have a spectator delay. So we'll see you all. Alrighty, we appear to be back in the game.
We are getting right into this, hitting the Rift FNF. Looking to dethrone the Dirty Dozen, who are 2-0, FNF being at 5-2. We're going to take a look to see if there's any stopwatches. Not one on Ash, but there is one on Zoe.
That has me disappointed. As I stated before, that is just such a necessary item to survive from their comp. Even if you don't usually do it, you should really look at that comp and just say, wow, I'm going to get dove on and I need a stopwatch. Maybe sticking his black shield will save him, but as you stated before, that just does not save you from a Aquaticalism.
Yeah, I mean, only time will tell in this matchup if it was the right decision or not.
A 5-point setup actually coming out from both teams here. I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of hoping to see a pretty fun invade, but I don't think any team really has a good invade except for the Morgana Q. Morgana Q is actually really nice, and if Zoe took Sleepy Double Trouble Bubble, that would be nice. Unfortunately, I have a pause. Someone's probably lagging. Essa feels bad, man.
Pretty weak level 1 to take the Sleepy Trouble Bubble.
It would be. You definitely do lose a lot of pressure, but if you get the kill, it's all about getting the kill. Yeah. Or if you burn a flash. Actually, I would take that to burn a flash. I feel like it's definitely worth it if they can capitalize on it correctly.
You know, one thing that's interesting to me is Thug and Uggs still gone for the fleet footwork. Yet 1-2Z not choosing to opt into that route as well.
I'm gonna say press the attack might actually be better on Ashe. I haven't played much of Ashe, but I feel like it can work really well with her ultimate because you just get those free autos off and you can get that extra damage instead of fleet footwork. And with fleet footwork, it's kind of good for kiting and catching up to people, but with Ashe, you already have that slow that helps you to kite and catch up to people. So I actually kind of like to press the attack here.
As much as I want to like press the attack for this one, I feel like it's more punishing if you do take the fleet footwork and they try and engage, don't get much out of it. The fleet footwork would be critical there in terms of sustaining, keeping Ashe happy, nice and healthy, and being able to return and engage later.
See, and I understand where you're coming from here. I mean, I've taken fleet footwork a lot myself, just... I know they nerfed press the attack damage a lot. I'm not quite sure the numbers, but I just think it would give you that extra damage to really penetrate through the Leona and Tristan and get that kill. And honestly, they should be pretty safe here. I mean, unless they really let Leona just get a free engage onto the Ashe, then they're really safe. I mean, Morgana provides a lot of poke, a lot of pressure, and so can Ashe compared to their bot lane. So I don't think they really need to be worrying about so much as sustain unless they get all in. And if they're all in, that's a completely different story.
But it's not even just about that, though. When it comes down to it, press the attack is better if you're allowed to consistently stay in this position where you can auto-attack freely. The composition drafted is not really one that looks to allow that in any way, shape, or form.
That is true, and I'm mainly focusing on the laning phase here, and I definitely should have been looking at the late game, but even still, I do like to press the attack. I just really do. I feel like with the ult pick, it can just work really well and just shred through people. We'll have to see. What I'm actually interested in here is both of the junglers actually started top.
Ooh.
That's something I don't see before.
Yeah,
and both of the bot lanes actually did try to fake and think the enemy jungler actually started at their bot lane. So this is really interesting.
Okay, this looks like it's going to be
a level 2
gank from Dr. Manager.
He's looking to set it up.
This is high risk right here. Dr. Manager looking to get the
flag
and drag onto Bravo. Forces the flash out of Bravo.
That's definitely really good here. Mountain's Heart doesn't have Ignite, so they couldn't have kept up the pressure. But that was really good to force out the flash. And it actually eliminates a lot of the Zoe pressure here.
Actually interests me. If that was going to be their plan from the get-go, especially since he's taken the spell book, why not take the Ignite at the very start?
That's got me actually kind of interesting. Yeah, if they had thought of this before, they definitely should have taken the spellbook here. Or the Ignite, I'm sorry. Maybe they just wanted to keep safe with the heal. I mean, I'm just not sure. Maybe they just weren't 100% positive it would work. Now, actually, for me, what I would have done is I would have gotten with my team as a 5-man, to try and get some vision down on their red side at the beginning, because if they had, they would have noticed the Zac starting top, and they could have actually taken their red and came from behind the Zoe instead of having to go that way. And I think that would have secured them the kill.
Yeah, most definitely. But hindsight is 20/20, especially when you're in this league, and already another game coming out. Not really going to get too much out of it, though.
Nice little scuffle going on here in the top lane. Camille actually winning the trade with a W in the end. Unfortunate.
Yeah, Brazil man doing pretty well in this lane, especially a lane where you would think at least early Gnar would win out, and then depending on how the lane goes after that.
Yeah, I would think that the Gnar would just be able to bully this Camille every time she goes up for farm, but it just doesn't look like he's able to do that correctly.
Yeah,
Zoe and Zac actually going to be looking for something.
And here comes the gank. Bubble absolutely whips and using the blast plant to use the Q. That's genius right there.
I definitely like that. That's something that was creative. I haven't seen that before, but unfortunately it doesn't work because it just knocks you away. But hey, he tries. I mean, I feel like as a Zac player, you just look for the closest thing to auto and you just grab that. Nice binding coming out here.
Ooh, a nice dodge to come out of 1-2, and now caught out. Another Q combo going in. Mighty Short falling critically low, having to burn the flash. Both flashes burn, and what a successful gank from the blue side.
Yeah, FNF's bot lane here is actually working out really well for them. They have a nice CS lead against the Tristana, and they're getting this early pressure on them, which is really good against this all-in comp.
Yeah,
Gnar's actually
major credit.
I do. And Gnar's actually pushing into the turret here just for free. I mean, he saw the Zac was by, and he actually is poking the Camille under turret. So I definitely think the Gnar could actually win this lane. He's actually down in farm, despite the range advantage, which is a little bit weird. But I mean, stuff happens. I mean, their bot lane is in fact losing in farm. Tristana just taking that free Ashe poke. That's quite unfortunate.
And going back to the bot lane matchup, I have to give a lot of credit to Adun Halar. This guy knows exactly what it means to take a ranged versus a melee. You focus that early harass and you just keep up the pressure. So that moment that comes at either level 3 or level 6, when the melee wants to take the all-in, is completely denied thanks to the health bar by itself. But we got to hold that thought. Brazil man is under attack. Dr. Manager getting a lot of damage, and Brazil man has to flash forward. Will that be first blood? Almost able to barely escape, but with a flash bird.
Yeah, that's really unfortunate there. I think they actually could have gone for the dive, but in fact, Zoe is actually roaming and possibly looking for a bubble on this Tristana. I just don't think they'll be able to line it up, though, because the wave is there to protect them. But yeah, going back to that top lane gank, I really think they could have dived that had the Jarvan actually tanked that, and would have just let the Gnar get free autos off. I mean, do you think they would have been able to do that? I'm pretty sure that was a free kill for them.
It felt like they were one more boomerang away from picking that up. At least a boomerang and an auto at most.
Yeah, 100%. The Dirty Dozen bot lane is actually just going to be able to push into here, which I'm honestly not quite sure if that's actually good for them. I feel like they should be setting up a freeze near their turret so that they can set up their jungler for ganks and all in them and bot and just kill them. So they're not going to be able to do much when they push in against that. Ignite coming out from Zoe. Was that was her actual Ignite. That wasn't her W. Some interesting trade.
Most likely looking to spellbook that Ignite away.
Probably just going to give that up for a TP, I would say. Just going to push it in this wave, TP on back.
And here comes the gank. Adun is caught out, taking a lot of damage, having to burn the heal as well as the flash of the bot lane of FNF.
Man, we've had a lot of ganks going off and just a lot of flashes going down, but nothing has been able to happen so far. It's quite unfortunate if you ask me.
I'm honestly surprised that Boosted is not focusing a little bit more on the spot lane, especially that now that it's pushing out. And one of the things you were talking about was setting up a freeze on the side of the Dirty Dozen. That's a really tricky thing to do when you're Tristana. Inevitably,
it really is.
E-passive is gonna push that lane back.
It really is, but I feel like it still can be done correctly. I mean, I've been playing a lot of Tristana lately, and it's hard, but it's possible, if you get what I mean. I feel like it's something you really need to practice a little bit before to really get it down.
And get a little lucky, too.
What I'm actually surprised about here is, while that was happening, and while they're driving a bot, the Zac actually did notice and did go for their topside red buff. but they actually did have vision on it, surprisingly. That is something I don't see that often. And you actually did notice them going away. Probably a great call from the mid laner, and just backed right on out. I like the early pressure with the Zac. They've had some interesting counter jungling moments and some interesting ganks. And honestly though, ooh.
We gotta hold that thought because damage in the bot lane is huge, and there is no flash on Brazil, man. This should be first blood as long as Kevlar flashing forward, able to get one more auto should do it, and the stopwatch being popped. That is the end regardless, though, as first blood goes over to Kevlar's. But Ash Arrow, meanwhile, in the bottom lane, there is another stopwatch, but it only delays the inevitable as another kill is picked up, but this one in favor of FNF.
Those stopwatches certainly are interesting here. They're just using it to hold on to their life for 2.5 more seconds, but just for no reason. They're going to go down.
Oh, yeah.
I think they should really just give them up.
Yeah, complete waste in that case, and we do have a teleport coming out. Sleepy Trouble Bubble does land. Doesn't get the paddle star there, but over the wall comes Brazil, man, and what are these
And here we see it again! Oh my. Just no good stopwatches coming out here, and looks like they're just going to be rotating for Infernal. Absolutely great trade for the blue team here. Infernal is just so huge to get early.
I would beg to differ, actually. I think Infernal's one of the worst early game dragons.
Really?
The percentage is very low. It scales. It's the best late game dragon, but early game, I would argue Mountain Drake's the best.
I can see that definitely for taking those early objectives, but I feel like Infernal Drake just gives you so much pressure. It's just, it's insane.
I mean, let's think about this. They're getting 8%, which is only like 5 AD for Ashe right now.
It's 5 AD, but once you go back and you actually get a BF sword, then it starts to stack up. It just starts to stack up, and you get way more stuff than your enemy laners. And once it comes down to late game team fights, it's just, it's great. And I think it's just really good to try and secure it early game. And I mean, there was no reason for them not to. So honestly, even if it was a win Drake, I think they would have just gotten it. I mean,
oh yeah, I'm not arguing against going against it. I'm saying like it's the best late game Drake. It's the best scaling Drake. But early game doesn't really have that impact until the scaling starts.
I definitely see where you're coming from with that. Now, correct me if I'm wrong here, but was it Malzahar the one that got caught out while we were talking?
Yeah, got caught out by the ultimatum. No running away from that one. Actually, was it Jarvan? I think
it was Jarvan. Yeah, Jarvan lived before. That was the Jarvan that got caught out. He just had absolutely no reason. They should have just known they were at the Inferno Drake and honestly just completely backed up. They had no vision, no reason to be walking there. It was an extremely risky play.
Dirty Dozen having a rough start. This could be their first defeat of the season if FNF are able to keep up this tempo.
Now, what I'm not quite sure about is the Dirty Dozen's team fighting. They may have extremely good team fighting compared to them, and maybe just losing the early macro. So I'm not quite sure about this team's strength and weaknesses, so I'm hoping to actually see them really come back in the late game.
It's all definitely going to depend as we start to head towards the mid game right now. Now Kevlar is taking a lot of damage, getting caught out, but Brazil man choosing to back off of that one, and he's going to be punished for backing off of that one, having to burn his flash to get away from Kevlar's.
You know, I'm actually quite surprised about how that went. Camille had red buff, and I think if she just all in, she would have completely won that trade.
Oh yeah, I agree completely on that one. But we have a gank in the bot lane going off. The focus being this bot lane duo. They're going CC left and right, looking to try and pick up both at the same time. But it doesn't look like it's going to work out, but it should work out in the mid lane as Bravo's caught out. Will he be able to survive? The Space Aid says no, but he picks one up for revenge.
That's really unfortunate. I think the Jarvan should have been able to just notice that and just move out of the way. Because if he did actually move out of the way, that wouldn't have been mid-turret because Zac was there. But I mean, that would have just denied the Zoe from getting anything from that gank, which she actually did. And the Zoe, she's getting a little bit out-farmed by Malzahar here, and Malzahar is pushing in a turret. But I think this Zoe will just be such a threat in the late game.
Oh, yeah.
So giving up those free kills to Zoe just isn't worth it, in my opinion. Especially when you have to burn flash yourself. Which he actually didn't. That's my fault. I thought he did flash away. We're starting to see a really big CS lead coming out in the bot lane here. Almost a 25 CS lead from this Ashe compared to Tristana.
Yeah, and so much of that is because of Adun. He's pressuring the living crap out of Mighty Short. But speaking of pressure, we got another gank coming in as Brazil Man uses the ultimatum onto Kevlar's, and Kevlar's nowhere to go for him as Brazil Man slays him.
Yeah, that's an unfortunate one there. It looks like he was actually going up to ward over the wall as Zach was there. And Zach was just ready for that and just pounced on him. Unfortunate timing. I think he could have been a little more aware of that.
But 1-2Z is caught out alone, but just in time, Adun shows up and looks to turn this one around. That pressy attack is really starting to pay off as those autos hit one after the other, slowed down by the volley. One more auto does the deal.
Yeah, and that's what I had to say before, man. The press the attack really just adds a lot of damage, especially when you're going Ashe and you already have those slows and everything. And against this comp, like I stated, the Black Shield just really helps you out against the Leona and the Malzahar. And the Gnar, actually. It just keeps you completely safe in lane. That's why I actually really like their lane compared to their Dirty Dozens.
This is very dangerous. Out goes the Nethergrass, knocked up by the Flagon Dragon. Bravo has to be more careful about the way he positions in this matchup.
Yeah, he just keeps pushing up too far without vision at all. And just isn't playing smart. And in fact, if we saw in that fight, I mean, he even ulted over the Malzahar and missed his bubble. It's just really unfortunate mechanics.
I mean, the guy's playing at an auto range for some reason. He's got to calm down with that, especially if you disrespect the Nethergrass. That's one of the easiest ganking tools there is.
Yeah, just easiest set of ganks, free ganks in the mid lane. And that's honestly why I really didn't want to see that Zoe get a kill. Because even now, she's still extremely strong and could probably almost one-shot Tristana. Gotta love Zoe, man. One of the most oppressive mid laners in the game.
I'll wait for that nerf to come in.
Oh boy, I'm excited for the PvE patch to come around, boys. I'm kind of wondering if FNF's bot lane actually wants to try and look for a free Dark Binding and try and Ashe ult off this. I mean, they don't need their jungler at this point. I feel like if they can actually try and land it on the Tristana or even the Leona, they can just get a free kill. And actually, I would like to see them try and go for a tower dive here. It looks like the Zac might actually be going for it. It is pink warded, but I think they can be doing it. But Zac actually backs off and just says, no, we don't want to do that. I think it's too dangerous.
Surprisingly enough, though, I do think they have enough damage to make a tower dive work out, but now Chetty's under attack. Dr. Manager looking to come to his rescue. Now boosted Lee Sin's in a lot of trouble. Enchanted Crystal Arrow comes up big, and so does the Let's Bounce as Chetty's caught out. No use of flash, and you're going down. Almost caught out is Thug and Uggs, who's able to flash out and survive for now. Kevlar does use the teleport to try and save his teammate, and out goes the Cataclysm, destroying Bravo. Meanwhile, Mighty Shortfalls. We also have Dr. Manager falling, and a flash away from Kevlar's as backup from FNF comes in huge.
Absolutely great awareness there from the Ashe to see the fight going on and land an amazing Ashe ult. Just absolutely set that up for his team here. And another free Inferno Drake. This is when it really starts to stack up here. And honestly, now I'm even questioning if the Dirty Dozen are going to be able to come back from this lead that FNF has. They're even going to go by and possibly just get the first turret here. That's first turret gold. Unless the Gnar can really push out this turret and get it before them, which I don't think can happen.
I highly doubt it, but there is a teleport coming out, so now I no longer highly doubt it. It's very possible. Malzahar is pretty good at defending against sieges, does have a lot of that AoE damage that he can pretty much spread from one minion to the other. Instead, chose to use it on 1-2Z.
Great damage.
And there it is, first tower.
First tower down. Yeah, that's quite unfortunate. Great TP coming in to stop them from getting that extra first turret gold. And that play actually put them back in the game here. They're not down that much gold. They're still down the Infernal Dragons, and they'll be down items by a little bit because the Ashe's farm is better than the Tristana's, and she has a couple kills. So their win con for FNF right now is really just looking to find good picks, find good engages, and just keep this Ashe safe. They just need to keep her away from the Jarvan, the Malzahar, and the Leona, and the Gnar, and I think that's it for them. The Mash will just sit there in the back, just completely melt everyone. And other than that, for the Dirty Dozen, they just have to look to one-shot someone. The problem with that, though, is if they one-shot the Ashe, they have the Zoe to worry about. They have the Zoe to just completely pop anyone on their team.
I know, I'm a little bit worried about that because Bravo hasn't exactly had the best performance that we've seen out of Zoe's lately.
No, he hasn't had the best performance, but Zoe can just completely kite.
We do have to hold that thought. Kevlar's getting absolutely chunked. So is boosted Lee Sin. Kevlar's drops to the Paddle Star. We do have another kill picked up as Brazilman able to get one, and there are the bloblets used. It might all be for naught as Brazilman goes in, and one more hit should do it. That's a double kill picked up by Bravo as the dude looks to defend this bot lane tower.
And that's where I said that Zoe just really starts to shine, man. She just is now at the point where she can really just one-shot anyone on the team. She even got a QSFs to keep herself safe now, which I'm not quite sure if she's aware of this. Actually, no, I'm sorry, I'm wrong. It's Cleanse the only one that can actually get rid of suppression. Freaking Riot support messing me up with their Twitter, man. I don't know if you've seen that, but it was interesting.
What, the Cleanse joke?
Yeah. I mean, I even got messed up by that one game. I was against the Malzahar. I took Cleanse. As soon as I got ulted, I was like, wait a minute. But the QSS can actually get rid of it. The Nether Grasp will still be on you and doing damage. But you can move, you can escape, and I'm pretty sure that's what she's going for here.
I mean, ooh, damage.
That's what I said. Just the Morella Namicon. She didn't even have to get another Needle
like
try. Just a free binding coming out on that Tristana.
This is absolutely falling apart for the Dirty Dozen. They're getting picked off left and right, giving up towers left and right, giving up gold left and right.
Yeah, I just don't see any way they can come back from this at this point. They have a 6k gold lead, and they have complete objective control and just amazing picks. Unless Dirty Dozen could come back with some amazing skirmishes, I just don't think there's really any win condition for them here. I feel like FNF just completely have this game in the bag. They're even just taking their buffs now, saying, no, that's not yours. We own this now. Just giving it to the Zoe to let her free push in mid lane and keep that pressure.
Yeah, and I mean, that was the discussion earlier. Can FNF have the macro game? Can they play this like the pick comp they drafted? And the answer is yes. They're playing it beautifully right now. They're finding picks. They're going left and right with it. And there we go with a very confusing engage to come out of Dr. Manager. The ultimatum used, but so is the Nether Grasp. But that is looking bad as 1-2C is able to set up shop and take out people left and right. Mighty short caught into no man's land, gets picked off by 1-2Z. The only one remaining is Thug and Uggs using the rocket jump to get away, but it's all for naught. Actually, they choose not to go for the seed, so I changed my train of thought, but what a dominant performance coming out from FNF.
Yeah, it looks like they'll just be rotating for mid-turret here. And my only thought here is what was going on in their head is they're behind. They wanted to try and force a fight, see if they can just win it, see if they can get some gold, but that just wasn't the right fight to force. They had 4 or 5 people in the bot lane. They should have known that, but the Jarvan just went in and engaged anyway. It was a big cataclysm, but you don't have the damage to follow up. And it just wasn't the right move at all.
I mean, absolutely. Look at the items built by Dr. Manager. He's gone for the Cinderhulk Jarvan instead of the Warrior enchant, which you usually see, which means even if he does go in by himself, he's not killing anyone. He's going down quickly. You better have the backup in order to support that Jarvan.
I mean, just look at the item difference on the ADC. You just really need this to let this Tristana actually scale up. Right now, she has a Ninja Tabbies, which I just don't agree with whatsoever. You just don't need the Ninja Tabbies to survive from the Ashe when they have things like Zoe and Morgana. You just need different items at the time. You have a Static Shift, which is good for wave clear, and honestly, I can't actually agree with that. You run a little bit low on the damage here early, but you get the wave clear, so if they go for a siege, you can just clear waves easily and stop that.
I mean, when you have a 3k gold lead between ADCs, it doesn't really matter what you pick. If you go break the meta, 3k is 3k, and it's showing. That's absolutely massive to have on your lane opponent.
Definitely is here. Looks like we might be seeing a fight if the Zac chooses to engage on this. She will.
Yeah, and there's a lot of pressure coming in. They do catch out Jetty. Jetty able to flash away, but he's not getting away from the ultimatum as the Cataclysm is used, but he only traps his own teammates in as the Soul Shackles go out, down all over the place. Bodies hitting the floor. Thug and Ugg falls, and this is going to be the clean ace as they catch out for a triple. Bravo picking up that one. Inhibitor exposed. They might look to end the game now.
This is definitely the game here. It's just an amazing performance coming out from FNF. They played their comp really well. They knew exactly what they were doing. They had a bit of struggle in the top lane, but that's expected with the Gnar and Camille matchup here. The Gnar should just be able to punish that Camille easily. Honestly, I definitely have to give it to FNF, and after seeing this performance compared to the Dirty Dozen, I can see their record and why they have it.
Compared to the Dirty Dozen, it's an undefeated team. So they're 5-2 right now. 22 minutes into this game, they managed to take out an undefeated team. That's a huge statement coming out from FNF.
Definitely here. Honestly, I gotta admit, I'm a little bit disappointed here in the Dirty Dozen. I'm a little bit disappointed. They really just didn't play that team comp well. The Jarvan, 0-7. I don't want to be that guy, but it doesn't seem like they had the coordination for the ganks, really. They just didn't set up anything correctly. And in the end, the FNF had a 13k gold lead on them.
Yeah, and to be undefeated and taken out that quickly, something needs to change very quickly. They might have underestimated this team or something, but they need to rethink their chances, rethink how they're going to play this game if they want to keep their undefeated streak alive and win this best of 3.
Do you think they'll have any target bans now after that game?
Um, that is a very good question. I want to say get rid of the Zoe, even though it didn't do that well in the early game. They actually hand-fed the Zoe and made her do well, regardless of how poor the laning phase went.
Yeah, that's what I was saying earlier. You just don't want to take the 1v1 or the 1-for-1 trades early on against Zoe, because the Zoe just scales so much more against the Jarvan, in my opinion, especially when the Jarvan is going full tank. And when you're behind, 1-for-1 trades are not the best, in my opinion, unless you can really do something with that gold and start to create a lead in other lanes. It just wasn't worth it.
I'll disagree a little bit. When you are behind, gold is gold.
Gold is
Totally
gold.
taking a 1-for-1 is fine, but when you're ahead, taking a 1-for-1, I think is absolutely miserable. It was the best they had, but the problem with those 1-for-1s is they didn't need to happen. They had
Exactly.
situations like he died with his flash up when he could have just either flashed out of his own even broke his own cataclysm and walked out of the tower. There was so many situations where it was very unnecessary.
And that's the problem, I feel like, with Dirty Dozen there. They tried to force many unnecessary things with that Jarvan. Just didn't work out for them. I mean, we saw in the end, they were desperate. They were desperate for those fights. All right, we're actually going to go for a short intermission here until the next draft starts. So we'll see you guys around. Alrighty, it looks like we're actually going to be getting back into the draft here, back into the flow of things.
And, oh my goodness, what a game one.
Indeed, that was definitely something. I'm going to have to
And no
apologize
surprise.
on behalf of the recording here. Forgot to change the names. So, on the left side is the Dirty Dozen, on the right side is FNF. It's stressful.
Yeah, but no surprise here. Zoe banned out right away in this first banning phase.
Yeah, that definitely doesn't surprise me. I'm not gonna lie, I definitely expected to see that one after that performance. The performance early on was a little bit iffy, but the Zoe is just able to completely dominate them. I mean, they just couldn't do anything. Just no counterplay from that Zoe right now. Feels bad, man. Riot, please nerf. Zach ban actually coming out from FNF here.
So here's the part I'm curious about. They banned the Zoe, but they left open the Janna that they banned last phase. I'm curious if this was actually a priority pick by FNF, if they're actually going to look to pick this up early. I want to, like, justify this Janna ban.
I don't think there is really any way to justify the Janna ban. I'm going to be honest here. I just don't think Janna is that strong. We're actually going to be seeing Tristana picked on the side of FNF this time. That's interesting. Maybe they'll be trying to run a different comp. Sorry.
Only thing I can assume is they picked the Janna ban because their comp was so all in that Janna could easily be the one to disrupt it, but it didn't work out either way.
Yeah. I could definitely see that. FNF actually is kind of switching around now. They might just be going for the all-in comp themselves.
Yeah, I mean, both the Tristana and Jarvan were picked by the Dirty Dozen last game, and it looks like they're just trying to beat them with their own comp.
Wow, they are actually completely switching around here. And despite the stream name, that is FNF on the side and the picks here. I mean, it's really interesting to actually see the Ashe Braum coming out from the Dirty Dozen here. Maybe they're trying to pick it up for themselves after seeing what it did to them, but I'm kind of curious if they'll be able to do what they did to the Dirty Dozen. Or, my bad, FNF.
Yeah, I don't know. I would go with the if it ain't broke, don't fix it type idea if I'm trying to beat an undefeated team.
Yeah.
But who knows? Maybe this is hubris. Maybe they're going to fault for it, and maybe Dirty Dozen will take a win. Or FNF are just that confident they can beat the crap out of them with their own guys. I don't know.
Hey, man, confidence isn't a bad thing at all, especially in this kind of thing. That's the kind of thing I see a lot from players, is they just play so safe for no reason, especially in lanes they should just be winning. And that's why I'm actually really glad I got to see that top lane aggression from the Gnar. I was kind of worried he was just going to be able to just sit back and not go for those trades and those fights. But he did a really good job of punishing that Camille early on. Despite the loss, I think he actually won the lane really well. And he did pull the jungler pressure top for a while there, but he did die to the gank. He wasn't able to stay alive, which I actually think is really unfortunate timing because he was going for a smart ward. He was going to have a pink ward placed where the Zac would be jumping, so he would have been able to know. Just unfortunate timing, if you're asking me.
And something I want to talk about, the Ahri pick. This is a pick I haven't really seen in ages now. I have no idea what to draw out of this one. It should be picked up by Bravo, and Bravo is on his playlist has never really played Ahri, at least for this season.
I am not a big fan of it with their comp here. Like, I feel like Ahri, while she has great all-in potential, I feel like she's more of a pick kind of champion, but she can be played well in these kind of comps. But I feel like if he could have played it, oh, my fault. Orianna is actually banned here. I was going to say Orianna would have been great, but I think the Malzahar could have worked really well with them here too, compared to the Ahri. Corki pick. Interesting pick here. I actually really like this. Every time I see a Corki, he scales up really well. So if you leave that Corki untouched, that Corki will scale into an absolute monster late game. And it's like just having two ADCs because that is literally what you have. So if you kill the Ashe, especially against their comp, if you all-in Ashe, you still have to worry about the Corki, and you have cooldowns, and that Corki can escape. If you all-in the Corki, you still have the Ashe. And on top of that, you have the Maokai and Braum Peel. And that Nami pick was actually Galio.
And I mean, if they take this Corki in the mid lane, which is what they're going to do, especially with what they've taken in the draft, all you have to do is dodge one charm, and Corki will absolutely dominate the Ahri in a 1v1. So this is looking pretty good for the Dirty Dozen in terms of lane matchup so far.
Yes, I'm definitely going to have to actually give this one to the Dirty Dozen team comp-wise. I think their draft was a lot better. If this Xin Xiao can apply the early pressure on Jarvan, which he should be able to do, I think they honestly just come out on top here, just looking at team comps.
All right, and this is the part where I'm supposed to disagree with you to keep it even and unbiased.
To disagree with you.
So
Play the devil's advocate, man. Come on.
I absolutely can't this one. Dirty Dozen. I like their comp. I like the fact that they have 2 hyper protective tanks, and those tanks are able to get deep in there and just wreak havoc on the front line of FNF. And all FNF really got in terms of the front line is the Alistair pick, and even then, the Alistair pick is it's not exactly the best tank if you don't have your ult up.
It really is, and he just gets absolutely melted with the ult. I mean, most fights he will have his ult, but the Galio pick, I know it shows Nami, but it was actually a Galio that did come out, and that does help with the front line, and I think if they can pull off some nice ganks with the Jarvan and the Galio, and can really like get early objectives and early kills, this could actually go in FNF's favor.
I mean, they have, once again, a macro-oriented composition where they're looking for picks, but I don't think it flows as well as the last draft they did. Like, the last draft, they had the Morgana. That's a very key thing when you're trying to set up the pick comp that they had in the last game, because actually, is he not there anymore? Was he subbed out?
He might have been subbed out. Could be wrong here. No, we're not wrong. We do have a sub, actually. I'm definitely not seeing him.
That throws me off completely. Yeah, okay. Sin Crossfire has taken over for Halar, who was the bot lane last time. But yeah, he was the one that played Morgana and looked absolutely splendid on it.
He definitely did
landed some of the best.
Absolutely great.
That is what made them succeed so much in that pick comp that they drafted. This one, I'm not feeling it as much. So Dirty Dozen, I'm expecting them to take a win for this.
Yeah, I really do think Dirty Dozen just comes out on top here. If they play it right, and if they can survive those good Jarvan and Galio ganks, and be aware of them and be able to communicate that well, I definitely think they just come out on top.
Yeah, and if they win, we get more League of Legends. So
more League of Legends is always a good thing. You never want to stop. What's that? You just lost 3 games to your 0-12 Crit Mundo. Me. You just keep going, man. You just keep going. Never give up on your dreams. Or you just tilt, do your placements, get upset, go to a different count, play Crit Mundo on your placements. What I did. Don't do that. That's dangerous.
This is going to be an interesting game. Very, very interesting game. Dirty Dozen, overall the best comp, but I want to talk about the variable in their composition, and I feel like that's the Xin Zhao. Xin Zhao has so much potency to be absolutely devastating in the early to mid game and just dominate it, score kills, rack up gold for his team. But he also has the same amount of potency to do the exact opposite.
Yeah, I was about to say, the Xin Zhao can easily fall behind, and I feel like if this Jarvan builds a warrior, he can really fight and pressure the Xin Zhao in the early game. If he doesn't, the Xin Zhao just gets to freely beat up on the Jarvan. So, I feel like, honestly, this could just be a Dirty Dozen stomp. Like, I still have to go with them. If they play safe, wait and look for ganks with the Xin Zhao and let the Xin Zhao kind of counter jungle and pressure the Jarvan off of things and be able to counter gank too. It's just completely in their favor in every way. I can't see a great way that FNF can really win this game.
Yeah, and then even reflecting on the previous game, Bravo had a terrible lane performance. He took Zoe and he was hand-fed kills, and that's why it looks like he did so well. But in the laning phase, he did terribly. And having Ahri this time instead of something like Zoe, it's not going to be redeemable if he has the same performance he had last game. And I'm pretty sure Chetty's looking to set something up like that again.
I feel like that is in part due to the level 2 Jarvan gank. That level 2 Jarvan gank was able to completely set him behind and really just put that pressure in Malzahar's hand. And if Malzahar did play that correctly, he's able to really pressure the Zoe off of minions and just completely dominate that laning phase.
Yeah, but then again, that would not have happened if he didn't play so aggressively, if he didn't go so forward in the lane and set up a level 2 gank that early.
That is true, and what I'm expecting to see now is I'm expecting to see more wards in the early game for the middle lane, and honestly, I might see an invade now. I'm hoping to see an invade to look to get vision, not for kills, for vision.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
want to try and say if they could set up vision in the enemy's jungle, see if they're starting in the bot lane, and if they not starting in the bot lane, then the enemy jungler can look to do certain things around the map. The laners can play safer, especially the bot lane, until level 3. Then they have to be kind of wary of the jungler coming down for that level 3 gank. And the top lane can play extremely safe then too. Unless they go for a full clear on the top side and then go top, which I hardly ever see, they should be pretty safe. Now,
Yeah, I have to completely agree, especially with Dr. Manager, what he did in the previous game. Started with that level 2 red buff and immediately did that mid lane gank. People underestimate just how valuable those early game wards are. That is priceless information that tells you this guy's going to be in this area. Maybe I can counter jungle here. Maybe I can counter gank here. Maybe he's going to gank here. Vision wins games, plain and simple.
Vision really does win games. And I don't know if you saw on the PvE where they're actually changing all the smites into one smite item. It's a pink smite, and I'm not sure if they got rid of the red smite effect, but I'm pretty sure there is still some of the chilling smite effect, but it has control wards. This
Oh,
is huge. You get free control wards with your jungle item. This is just great for setting up vision around the map. And one thing that makes me excited about is in your solo queue games, you will start to see junglers actually prioritizing vision a lot more, I think, with the smite item, which is a great thing. And you almost never see the ward items, the ward jungle items on your junglers. I've seen it a couple of times on like a couple tanks like Maokai jungle, a little bit of off meta picks. Other than Lee Sin, you just don't see it that often. When in fact, if you do have that vision, sometimes having that vision and knowing where the jungler is just better than having that damage reduction in fights for me.
oh my goodness. I got to keep up with the PvE because that sounds like an insane change.
It is an absolutely insane change, man. If you don't check the League of Legends subreddit, I absolutely recommend it. It's a great place. You'll see a little bit of drama. You'll see all sorts of esports. You'll see people complaining about Zoe, and you'll see the updates. It's a great time over there, man. Absolutely a great time. And one thing I'm going to recommend to anyone watching and even the players, r/Summoner School. I really underestimated that place, but I have learned so much with macro and everything that I feel like it's just a great fit. You can even learn anything if you're diamond. I'm getting close to diamond myself, and just still reading through that, I'm learning stuff about laning phase that I just didn't know before. That's something that just sometimes I might do, but it hasn't clicked in my head why I'm doing that. So, just absolutely amazing place. A little bit off topic of the game here, but I still think it's a generally good tip for people. So,
Oh,
I guess
I
nice to
mean,
share that.
if you want another good tip, how about r/Risen Esports to catch up with all your Risen Esports needs,
Ooh, a
as well
little bit of
as any VODs,
self-promotion
matchups.
here. I like it. You can go on there and you can see the prediction for Team DLC 8-2. That's my team. Those are my boys. We are in the Dominate
Speaking of
League compared to the
self-promotion.
Rampage team. Unfortunately, we got the jerseys and everything, man. We got the fit. It's
Oh
great.
man.
It's absolutely amazing. We're almost loaded in a game here, just waiting on the Ari. And we'll get right into the swing of things. I am excited to see how this one goes down, and I'm really hoping to see an invade, like I said.
Yo, though, spell books on both the top and bot lane of FNF. And when I say bot lane, I mean what possibly is gonna switch? What is he gonna switch to with that spell book? He's starting off with ignite. Is he gonna look to like alternate? I'm trying to understand here. It sounds kind of abstract to me.
I'm not quite sure myself here, actually. It is definitely
Well,
very interesting here.
I have to give FNF a little bit of advantage in the spot lane because of that ignite though, taking that early. If they can get the level 2 first, they can really establish control if they're able to get an all in right off the bat.
Definitely. They're actually going for the 5-point setup instead of invading, which is just not what I wanted to see. It looks like the blue side jungler actually wants to stop the bottom side here now. Probably going for just an easy level 3, just the red buff, the wolves, the blue buff, and possibly looking to contest that scuttle against the Jarvan here, which is pretty free. I actually do. One thing like I said, I would have preferred them to invade and look for vision. But what I do like to see is them having a nice 5-point setup. The Galio is stopping invades in the top lane. The Jarvan is in the mid lane to rotate if something happens. The Ahri is watching that, and the Tristana and Alistar are both sitting there in the bot lane. So they're completely safe from invades on their side. If they see someone walking up, they would have known. Compared to the blue side with Dirty Dozen, they're just not ready for that. They're just standing next to their buff, just waiting for it to spawn.
I also like the way they set up their early game for FNF. They have boosted Lee Sin, stand watch in the mid lane, and what they're basically doing is they're having them flex to either buff depending on what they see on the map. If they catch anything out, they can have them rotate to a buff rather than just be, you know, binary with it and do exactly what the Dirty Dozen did.
Now this is interesting. Dirty Dozen
just very interesting.
Going in for that level 2 gank again. This time it's actually working out because he has the CC, has the flash, just kills him instantly.
This should have been expected. This is exactly what Dr. Manager did in the first game, and look how they're responding. They instantly know that Boosted Lee Sin is in there trying to steal the blue as a response, and they're looking to catch him out. Doesn't look like it's going to happen, though, especially with the level 1 Maokai.
As Xiao just smites the blue buff away. Free blue buff. Thanks for the leash. Be gone. This Jarvan is extremely behind now, forced to go for his Krugs. He's only got the red buff. The red buff is probably halfway through and just provided absolutely nothing for him. And what I actually was excited to see is it looked like the Jarvan could have been going for a level 2 gank in mid, but he wasn't. So I was hoping to see a 2v2, level 2 mid. That would have been something really excited, but it could have happened too, but they just didn't have the vision. Just no vision placed from that Ahri, and it's disappointing. And she just didn't play safe. They should have known something like this was happening. I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed.
And you know where there was vision? On the blue buff of the blue side. That's how they caught out Boosted Lee Sin and just immediately chased him off that buff and thanked him for the leash, as you were saying.
Yep, just great vision control compared to them for the side of Dirty Dozen. Now, what's already nice here is I'm already seeing a great CS with Corki and the Xin Xiao. The Jarvan was forced off a lot of his camps early because of that whole little extravaganza we had in mid lane and top lane and in their jungle. So the Xin Xiao, what we're seeing here is the early pressure. That's what I wanted to see. I wanted to see the Dirty Dozen win their lanes and be safe from this kind of stuff. Now, what I didn't think of before, I was thinking this would be a Galio mid, despite the Ahri, which just, my brain wasn't clicking, which sucks. It sucks in my opinion. The Galio, ooh, wow. The Xin Xiao just stealing away his camps. Just this Jarvan is completely behind now. And I'm honestly questioning to think if he'll even be able to come back in this game.
Yeah, that's absolute disrespect. And the one thing about Jarvan picks is they do really well early game. The Flag and Drag, one of the best forms of CC to have for early game junglers. But once he starts to fall off, you're pretty much either stuck doing Cinderhulk or you go Warrior and get exploded.
Yeah, he actually has a longsword, so he will be going to Warrior here. I think last time he saw his damage, saw it wasn't that high, and just decided, alright, I need to go for more damage. He might be going Warrior Duskblade. And as of right now, honestly, I would say he should go tank. I would say he should just go tank. They have a strong front line, but I don't think just going the Duskblade build is the right decision here. They just have so much peel to really, like, get them off of Corki and Ashe. And like I stated before, even if you one-shot the Corki or the Ashe, you're just going to die to the other one. because you're not tanky. You're not doing anything. I think you need to be tanky enough to set up your team for success, which he's just not doing. Now, one thing I want to talk about in the top lane here that I got a little bit sidetracked before is the matchup. The Galio top lane, if you don't do anything early with it, it falls off compared to other tanks in my opinion. Ever since they kind of changed Galio to be more of like a kind of tanky AP champion with Roa, he's just not that incredible tank he used to be with his W. And the reason why we saw so much Galio is because we saw him mid, and he had really good roams with his ult. Kind of like TF, just amazing roams. But now, we don't see that since he's forced to be in the top lane, and just not many things are going to be happening there, especially when you want to be forcing something in the bot lane to try and get objectives.
On that note, can we just take a moment to admire boosted Lee Sin's level? 6 minutes into the game.
We can definitely do admire that. And you know what sucks for this man? Catch-up XP has been nerfed.
Yeah.
That really blows. He's probably not going to hit level 6 until 10 minutes. That is unfortunate. His red buff's going to be coming up. He'll hit level 4. Xin Xiao going for a nice free little gank on the Galio here. Sorry.
Wow, I didn't think this was actually going to work out the way it did, as Brazil Man falling critically low, and one more audacious charge finishes off Brazil Man. But here comes Bravo looking to pick up the scraps, manages to get one. Boosted Lee Sin is level 4 though, so he has to be careful about the way he places. Kevlar is going to come in with backup from Chetty. Manages to get a nice chunky heal. Kevlar still running low. Chetty picks up 1 kill. Does he see 2? Yes, he does. A double kill picked up by Chetty.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest here. I didn't actually expect anything to go off of that. That's why I started casting it and didn't let you quite get in there. But what I was happy to see was the Corki actually roaming. I was a little bit worried he was going to sit there and just push the mid lane and try and get the turret, a little bit of turret damage, but you're just not going to get much off it. He was able to roam, and he helped to save his Maokai. I was thinking the Maokai would be able to get the Jarvan anyway, just because of his level advantage. The Jarvan is level 4, which you do not want to be at 7 minutes and 30 seconds. Just not a good thing. I mean, this Xin Xiao should be hitting level 6 here right after he grabs his Krugs, and he should probably just go for a bot gang tank. And just great rotations on the side of Dirty Dozen. They have better communication, better vision, better macro. Honestly, I think they're just the better team despite FNF's performance.
And a better mid laner. Bravo comes in, is unable to do the job and finish Kevlar's. And a great roam from Chetty to follow up on Bravo's roam. Look how far ahead he is now. He's already got his Stork Boots. He already has his Sheen. He's 500 gold ahead of his opponent. This is looking good.
And I want to stress this more with the Galio. Had there been a tank top that was not Galio and the Galio mid, things could have gone out differently here. The mid laners could have roamed at the same time, but Galio is going to get there first, and he's going to have that CC, and they could have just locked someone down with another tank here. And that's why I just don't like seeing this Galio pick, to be honest, at the top lane. I think it would have been okay in the mid lane. It's just not going to be able to do much, in my opinion. Just honestly a really weak pick here. I mean, it's denying the Maokai a little bit of farm, but the Maokai also has 3 assists. He was able to participate in there, so they should still be around even in gold.
I'm gonna reserve my critique on the Galio until I see the hero's entrance used. I want to see if Brazil Man can do something to influence the game, but so far it's been abysmal. It's not working well for him at all.
Even look at that trade there. With Galio, you would think that you're picking a little bit more of a damage-based champion. You just want to be winning these trades, but the Maokai is just able to freely win that, especially against the Galio. It's just not working out, in my opinion. Now, switching away from the top lane here, the Dragon. Last game we had 2 Infernal Drakes, just huge Drakes, but now we have the Cloud Drake, so a little bit of pressure is going to be moved away from the bot side.
Yeah, we do have to hold the stop for a second because Brazil Man caught out once again. Not much to really talk about there as Dr. Manager takes up a nice sum of gold into his pocket.
Yeah, he just lunges on in and slaps right on him. They actually should be going for the turret here, but it looks like they might actually go for Herald instead.
Oh, and we're going to see a 1v1 in the mid lane as Bravo choosing to continue fighting with all his spells on cooldown, which is very questionable, but now starting to move forward. Will the charm come out? Will it be enough? The answer is no, as a killing spree for Chetty, and the flash to deny boosted Lee Sin anything in return.
I'm not gonna lie, that might be the greatest play I think I've seen so far. That was really well played by Chetty. Just dodged everything. Ashe ult actually coming out here. I don't think it's gonna land on anyone. Just completely missed. I'm not even sure what she was aiming for, to be honest.
It looked cool.
It looks cool. We all like something that looks cool.
Ooh, and we do have a possible catch out, but the rocket jump gonna keep 1-2Z alive. One more auto should get the stun, but they're a little bit too afraid of the fog of war in that case.
And they definitely should be here. It looks like they're just going for the dragon here, trying to respawn after what happened in the mid lane. Even if they get the dragon, I just don't think it's that big a loss for Dirty Dozen. It's only Cloud Drake, only a little bit more move speed. It's not going to be anything big, especially when you have things like Braum and Ashe just to keep on them, especially with Maokai too.
Oh, this lane, this whole game has been absolutely turned upside down as compared to what we saw last game, where it was just FNF dominating every single lane, playing the macro game beautifully. Then suddenly they decide to go with the picks the Dirty Dozen went with, and it's not working. It's not working at all. The Jarvan fell off so early. Bravo is no longer on a champ that can really get any redemption. And we gotta hold that thought because the hero's entrance being used from Brazil Man, and yeah, now I'm gonna go ahead and use my critique. The Galio pick is garbage.
Indeed, that's what I've been telling you this whole time here. It actually looked like we have a bit of a scuffle.
Yeah, the ultimate used by Dr. Manager, he is going to get out quite safely. And the fact that they can't even take a 2v2 when they have a health advantage is a testament to just how poorly they're doing in this game.
Yeah, there's just absolutely nothing to do. I mean, if you even look at the farm difference here, we have a 20 farm lead on the Corki, a 2 kill lead. But we still has 3 kills. She just has absolutely insane goals. And like I said, this Corki is going to scale up. That's not what you want Corki to do. If this goes in the late game, you're going to see a Corki with a Triforce, and now you're going to rapid fire cannon, just absolutely melting everyone. And that's just not a good thing against their comp. The Corki is extremely safe for this W. It can just lay down and siege extremely easily.
I think at this point, if you're FNF, you put everything you have into 1-2Z. He played really well in the previous game. Didn't need anyone to really hand feed him the same way Bravo did, but we gotta hold that thought because we have a fight bringing out his mighty short. Getting a little bit caught out, gets chunked out for just over half his health, but no exchanges happening. And now Chetty and Bravo meeting up. Will the charm goes out? It does land, but the orb going in the complete wrong direction.
I think you just panic used that to try and escape, but you're not escaping from a ranged champion. I mean, at least try and trade with them a little bit there. Now, what you're talking about there, trying to get all the gold on the 1-2Z, it looks like they did try and do that, and they tried to force a gank bot. But what I didn't see was a Cataclysm from Jarvan. That Cataclysm just didn't come out, and if they used it, they could have at least forced flashes there. And I mean, they got the Ashe flash, but they didn't get the Braum flash when they were on the Braum. They should have used that Cataclysm and tried to force something. The Alistar could have tanked with his ult, and I think they could have at least gotten a kill, maybe forced the other person back and gotten the turret. But just without using your ult, nothing's going to happen. When you're trying to force a gank like that, you need to use everything in your option, especially when a game is going like this.
Ooh. This is not looking good whatsoever. Justice Punch was just used against the minions. He's caught out with nowhere to go. Brazil Man, who burnt his flash, by the way, drops to Dr. Manager.
That's really unfortunate there. That's actually extremely disappointing to see.
And this is extremely terrifying as Chetty comes in from the jungle, ganking the jungler.
Oh my,
now
just free ganks.
Trying to do something here. We got almost a catch out onto 1-2Z. He was able to use the rocket jump just in time. Sin crosshair. Able to survive, but just barely. What is Bravo going to do here?
I don't think there's anything he can do. He could get the little wool. He can get the little Krug. That's about it. I mean, honestly, Dirty Dozen might just win this. They already have a 3k gold lead. They're getting objectives so well. They're getting this top turret. They have the first turret, Blood. That's going to give them even more gold. Looking at a 4.5k gold difference now. And the only thing they really have going for them here is slight CS differences in the top lane and the bot lane. But that doesn't matter when the Maokai has 5 assists and the Ashe has so many people to protect her. And it's just not looking good. It really just isn't.
Oh, Oh, the Dirty Dozen looking to keep their undefeated streak alive as they strike back devastatingly. Still, the game has not come to a close just yet, and I still really want to focus on that win condition, 1-2Z.
They
If
really
he
need
can
that.
get going, Tristana is a hyper carry. Once she gets to that late game where her range gets maxed out and she's able to just pop that Q and start raining on people, she can turn that fight completely around, but she needs to get her team to start getting her into this game.
And I feel like that's how they're going to have to win this game. They're going to have to look to stall this one out, look for any picks they can get, take them, and just feed all their gold into 1-2Z. And if they can't do that, and the Dirty Dozen is able to just continue to get free picks, then it's just not going to look good for them. And I mean, honestly, it just already doesn't look good for them. Even if they do go for like a 3v2, I'm honestly confident that Dirty Dozen can still win it.
And this is the fight that manager needs to do. Start focusing on this bot lane to deny the win condition we were just talking about. As now Syncross Dire is caught out, using his ultimate, but way too late. Actually, might have been just perfect as he's able to use the stopwatch, but far too much going on as he drops the Dr. Manager.
I think he actually would have lived there. The Ashe used the auto and backed up. She didn't want to take the turret, but he decided to W back in just to try and knock him away. A little bit of disrespect, but just not worth it because the lets this in-shot jump right back on you. It looks like they actually might be going here to try and stop them with the Galio Jarvan.
Yeah, but
So it looks like they're just going to clear wave, saying that's a little bit too dangerous, and in fact, it is.
Oh, yeah.
The Jarvan did build Warrior, but he's still so far behind compared to this Xin Xiao here. And I mean, even if you look at items, you look at Ari in the mid lane, she's got boots, and she's starting to build her Morellonomicon. But at the same time, Corki has boots, a finished Triforce, and a pickaxe. That is just a huge gold lead, huge item difference. There's not much they can do. Looking to go for a pick here.
Ooh, actually, there is something they can do. Catch out a backing Corki.
That was a greedy back. Very greedy back there. Should have just walked back in the turret. Got in the free back, absolutely no pressure. You're standing there, you can see the Ahri walking up to you, and just no move was made. I honestly question if he might have just been looking in his shop.
Ooh, is Dr. Manager gonna go for this risky play? Over the wall comes Sin, trying to deny this, but for some reason they stop attacking it. They're not finishing it just yet, and the question is why. They do get the smite, and they are able to pick it up, but that delay was very pointless because now they're in a lot of trouble trying to run away from this team. And there goes Kevlar's catching out Bravo. Bravo able to Spirit Rush over the wall, but had to burn his flash as well as his ultimate to get away. And this is a risky move right here.
Everything about that was risky and dangerous. Oh, interesting stopwatch coming out from the Braum there. Possibly a little bit of BM. Just gonna go ahead and waste that for absolutely no reason. I like it. I can respect it. If only he dapped on him. That would have been greater. But as you were stating, it looked like the Alistar wanted to stop them and just so they could finish the dragon, but it just didn't go through the jungler's head. The Alistar engaged and he just started to back up. So it looks like FNF is having a bit poor communication here right now. And that's just a huge problem. That's not something you want to see. That should have been communicated earlier. That Alistar should have been able to say, hey guys, I'm going to try and stop them, finish the dragon, let me die. Which just didn't happen.
You know something I don't want to see is a teleport on my Alistar. I'm still trying to figure out why the spell book was taken over anything else.
You know, I can see it for the flash cooldown, but that's about it. And if you want to change from ignite early to exhaust, that's okay. That's doable. That's alright. But what I don't like to see, and I agree with you here, is the TP. What TP plays are you going to make on Alistar? You're always going to be walking with your team. You're never going to be splitting. You're never going to be doing anything different around the map. You shouldn't have to TP somewhere. That's just not something that should ever be a condition. And honestly,
I have no words.
If he had gone Aftershock, he would have just gotten the extra resistances, and they would have been able to pressure a lot more early in lane. It's disappointing. I'm disappointed. I'm not gonna lie. I've said this before today. I'm disappointed in FNF, really, right now.
Syncross Dire, you've done it. You've disappointed Forward Fusion. He's giving his nod of disapproval.
And I can't even be just disappointed in him. He had the right idea to get them off the dragon. He had them stalled, and the jungle were backed up. I'm not trying to point out any one person on this team. I'm trying to point out the team as a whole. The team as a whole right now just isn't communicating. They're not going for the right plays, and they're just not doing what they need to be doing here. And finally, we actually see the bot lane actually going into the top lane here, but for no reason. Your wave is already pushing, and now there might be a fight about to break out there. Why are you top lane? There's no reason you really should be top lane right now. You're not going to be able to push in against that turret, and they just have pressure in the mid lane. You just shouldn't have gone there. Just bad macro coming out on the side of FNF here, and I just don't think they're thinking about their plays as much as they should be.
And Bravo has to play this carefully because Enchanted Crystal Arrow can end him right now. He's playing so close.
Yeah, that was definitely interesting there. He used his ult to get a little bit of farm. Not what you want to be seeing with the Ahri ult.
No, it wasn't just the farm. It was the Valkyrie coming out of Chetty. And what is
interesting flash?
Very interesting flash. They do get the charm, and they are going to catch out Dr. Manager, but a great use of the flash keeps him alive, but the flash forward coming off 1-2-C keeps him alive and manages to get that kill out, and it's something, but can they get objectives for it? My guess is going to be yes, as they look to focus on this mid lane tower.
That was really good. That, I'm going to take back a little bit of the stuff I said there. They make a smart decision. They saw it was a 5v4 and engaged. They're actually looking to go for the tower dive.
Yeah, another tower dive coming in. Mighty Short gets picked off. They're looking to get Chetty as well. Chetty getting low on mana, getting low on health, getting low on time as he drops to 1-2-C. And now this game is looking completely different as they manage to get what seems like an unofficial ace. What in the world is going on, Fusion?
That was something else. I'm not gonna lie. I really didn't expect to see that from FNF, and it looks like they might actually be taking the rotation for Baron. We could be seeing a complete comeback on the side of FNF, just a complete swing of the game, and they are going for the Baron here. Blue side does know this. It depends on how fast they can melt it. I don't think they can melt it very fast here. We do have low HP bars. So I'm curious to see how this one can go. If the Ashe can get land a good ultimate, they can just blow someone up and completely get them off the Baron. But they're not even moving.
What is going on in this game?
This is interesting here. The Corki is TPing from the back here, looking to go for something. Just looking to steal the Baron so far. Alistar. Baron goes over the red team. And this Corki is completely out of position now. They could just jump on him and kill him for free.
He gets the Valkyrie out, but nothing's going to work out there. This is a confusing game. FNF, they got a huge case of bipolar disorder. Because in one hand, we see the Clown Fiesta FNF, and then suddenly out of nowhere, this first game macro-focused FNF pops out and just decides to turn the game around. What?
That was something else here, and this is what you were talking about. 1-2-Z is getting gold, he's getting items, he's scaling, he wasn't shut down early, and I really think that he should have been. With their lead, with the Xin Xiao and the Corki, they should have just been able to go bot and really start to shut that down. And we're starting to see a huge CS lead in the top lane. I mean, it's been going on for a while, but I was thinking, okay, maybe the Maokai can just still sit there, peel, tank some stuff. But the Galio, he's so tanky. Look at his items. He's got a Thorn Mail. Frozen Heart, correct me if I'm wrong. I haven't seen that item in ages. Tabbies, too. And he could just absolutely tank them. They have an all AD comp. So the Thorn Mail and all of that is just doing absolute wonders here. Even look at the Tristana item. The Tristana has a Tabbies. They can't really touch her that easily. And it's hard. The Tristana is so safe, too. We're really starting to see things get interesting here.
Can I just point out that whole game-changing play started with a fail flash out of Lee Sin?
That was definitely questionable.
Oh, but we do got a fight breaking out. The Cataclysm used. It is going to be huge for the hero's entrance, but this fight's not looking too good for FNF just yet. 1-for-1 apiece, and we're going to see another pickup. 1-2-C is left in the backline to do whatever he wants as he takes out member after member. And this is looking great for FNF as they take 4.
This is honestly game. I don't think they can straight up end here, but they can get an inhibitor, rotate the dragon, get that bot turret back, and reset for their final push. This is absolutely an amazing comeback from FNF. They were down at least 5-6k gold, able to get a good fight off with an interesting flash engage from the Jarvan, but it still worked out nonetheless. The idea was there, the execution not so much. Amazing comeback. I'm glad they were able to focus on the fact that the Maokai was the top lane. They actually don't get the inhibitor here, which is a bit unfortunate, but they can still rotate the dragon, get that bot there, and make that final push. Had they gotten that inhibitor, things could have been a lot easier. They would have had the super minion pressure in the mid lane, and just been able to siege turrets as someone has to go back and deal with those super minions. And then they would have been able to force a fight and end the game. But that's all what is here.
We almost have a catch out, but use of that ultimate keeps Dr. Manager safe. They are going to go after Cheggy, but Cheggy able to Valkyrie over the wall.
Charm just barely missing. The Baron's going to be running out here soon. But it's looking like a free dragon for them. Unless the Maokai is going to look to engage on this, which there's no reason he should. Yep.
And that's one thing to point out. Despite FNF looking so terrible in the early game, they still manage dragon control. All the dragons are in the pocket of FNF. They're an interesting team.
They are an interesting team. That is for sure. I'm not gonna lie. As I was saying before, I completely lost confidence in FNF. I mean, you heard me. I was disappointed in their performance, and I won't lie. I'm still disappointed in their early game performance. But this late game comeback has been almost perfect, and it's just amazing to see this kind of stuff happen. And I mean, the Xin Shao is still stronger here than the Jarvan. Still has a 50 gold lead. Still has kills on him. But you see the top lane. You see the 50 gold difference, and you see the ADC. The Tristana has 5 kills compared to the Ashe's 1. She has 3 assists compared to the Ashe's 2. The Ashe just isn't getting the good picks they need with ult. I feel like the Ashe should have been more aggressive with her ults, looking for more picks, trying to snowball their lead even more.
Yeah, and it's just not working. You would have thought with the coordination they had in the early game, they would have been able to absolutely dominate this bottom lane as long as they got Dr. Manager to constantly show up. But at this point, this Ashe is, to pun it out, is going to ashes at this point.
Great pun right there coming out. Top turret, my bad. Completely just destroyed there. Absolutely nothing they could have done. The Corki was forced to use his pack, which is a huge disadvantage in the fights.
Ooh. Oh, the Enchanted Crystal Arrow whiffs pretty hard. They aren't going to have anything else to chase Bravo with, but they're still choosing to go on the aggressive. That's some big resources used for nothing gained.
Yeah, that's real unfortunate here. They don't want to fight for them right now for a while here, but honestly, I think that FNF here should really be looking to force an engage here, while the Maokai and the Ashe doesn't have ult. It's a free fight for them. There's nothing they can do. The Galio's in the bot lane, though, so I'm not quite sure how easily he's going to be able to rotate. He does have his TP, but I mean, with Galio, it is better to try and rotate with your ult. And I'm thinking what they... Ooh, nice catch here.
Oh. Yeah, Kevlar's caught out, and it's not looking great for him. Dr. Manager looks to be caught out next. The Glacial Fisher is used. Cataclysm catches 3. Boosted Lee Sin falling critically low, but he's doing his job as he picks up kills for 1-2Z and Bravo.
Just absolutely melting. No damage coming on the side of the Dirty Dozen. Really unfortunate there. They got caught in that Cataclysm. No escapes whatsoever to escape from the Ahri and the Tristan, and they would just 3-put damage on them. And this is why I like to see that Galio split push. The Galio had the right idea. Honestly, I was a little bit scared in that fight. I was a little bit scared that Jarvan was just going to die for no reason. But just absolutely able to dominate. This Ahri's too safe with their ult. Can't touch her.
And I mean, that's the thing that they're doing right. We saw the Jarvan picked up. Actually, we got to hold that thought because Mighty Short's going to get deleted by 1-2Z. And now the fight's continuing. This is going to be the game-ending fight as 1-2Z able to stay in this and pick off whoever he wants. A kill picked up by Bravo as Kevlar's way too deep in there, but that is one last desperation attempt as their base falls into shambles, but still it manages to get FNF off the base.
Unfortunately, they cannot end the game here due to the Ashe clear and the Corki clear. No super minions quite there yet. But I would still take that fight for them. I mean, if you look at the gold difference now, there's a 7k gold difference on the side of FNF. Just completely swung this game around, and I'm proud of them now. I'm proud of them now. I have a different viewpoint on them. And I gotta admit, this is a bipolar match to me. I'm disappointed with FNF's early game, but I'm proud of their late game. And I'm proud of Dirty Dozen's early game, but I'm disappointed in their late game. Dirty Dozen just not getting the picks. Just not having the macro. They have no dragon control. They have no objective control. When they had so many early kills, just a huge gold lead, they just weren't doing anything with it. And then they were pushed up too far without Maokai. There was 5 people in mid on the side of FNF, and they should have backed up.
Fail flash.
One fail flash on the side of FNF. You know what? We
And they
take those.
still
We take those. Listen, I'm gonna go into one of my games for a second here because it appears we have a bit of a lull. And my support was playing Tarek. Used a stun. Flashed over them. Stuff happens. But it still worked out in the end. And I'm glad they didn't get disheartened. Honestly, they might have just laughed it off and been even more like, I want to win this game now.
Ooh, Chetty barely able to get out with his life.
Yeah, honestly, that. Yeah, flee forward. Yeah, that flee forward saved him there. That little extra heal. That bomb would have killed him otherwise.
Yeah, and we got to compare and contrast Boost Lee Sin versus Dr. Manager. You put Dr. Manager on the Jarvan, and he would get Cataclysms, but there was no communication coming out from the team. They wouldn't follow up on it. Boosted Lee Sin, yeah, he's died 4 times, but he's died splendid, glorious deaths. He's used that Cataclysm.
He died with honor every single time. Absolutely. That's what I like to see from the Jarvan. I like to see the one-way engage. Ooh, catch actually coming out here. Not where you want to be.
Yeah, but he's able to Spirit Rush just enough to get safe.
Oh, that's a tilter right there. Dirty Dozen desperate, looking for ganks. Ooh, Ash Arrow might actually connect here. Doesn't, unfortunately. I'm not actually sure that would have even killed. I mean, Ash Arrow does absolutely no damage. And unfortunately, for an ADC, that thing scales with AP. Thank God for old champions in League of Legends.
We got to be a little bit fair here. It is 400 base damage. It could have been enough to finish him off. 400
base damage. Wow, I'm actually surprised you know that number. I don't play Ashe, so I'm not quite sure, but that is a lot of damage. I won't lie. I won't lie. Looks like they might be trying to force something here, but honestly, even if they force something, if I were FNF, I would have just turned around. They see that the Cork is in the mid lane clearing waves. They see that the Ashe is down there. They could have forced that fight. Jarvan could have completely turned around. One-shot the Xin Xiao, and after you one-shot the Xin Xiao, they have no damage. They have a Maokai and a Braum. They can't do anything after that. So I definitely think they should have just turned and forced that engage there. But it looks like they're just trying to win this as 5, just looking for a team fight. That's what they want. That's what they need. Might be a pick here.
Ooh, and this could be the catch right here. As Chetty gets picked off, disrespecting the fact that they do not have vision control right now. You don't want to be in that type of area, especially with the composition drafted by FNF.
Yeah, that's just not, I don't even think that's a composition thing. I just don't think it should be there in general. They have the Baron buff. They have absolute pressure. You know they're going to be around that area. There's no reason you should walk up for a ward there. Those dangerous wards are never worth it. And if you want to do something like that, take the blue ward.
Enchanted Crystal Arrow used as well as the Glacial Fissure, but it's all going to be for naught as they lose their entire front line in one move. A flash forward keeps Dr. Manager alive, but it doesn't save Thug and Uggs as the base is now exposed, soon to be the Nexus, and in 33 minutes into this game, FNF choose to dethrone the undefeated Dirty Dozen.
Dang. Man, I have a whole lot of ups and downs with that right there. That was really something else. It was
the flip of a switch.
I'm not sure how I feel. Hold on, I gotta give me a second to like process my feelings for this game here, for this series here. Just everything was interesting. There should have been a couple of extra fights for us. We did see a couple misplays, especially from the things like Zoe and the Jarvan fail flash. Those were a couple notable ones. But I mean, just the macro and the way they played their comps wasn't right. It just wasn't right. What are your thoughts?
I have nothing to say. I have a lot of respect for FNF, even despite having some of the silliest early game mistakes I've ever seen. They somehow managed to pull it together. The first game was an absolute stomp. It looks so good for them. They played the macro game beautifully. They did everything they should. And then the second game comes along and they look, for lack of a better word, like absolute garbage. And then for some reason, it's like, all right, let's bring in our ringers. We're gonna switch seats now. We got our real players on. And then out of nowhere, they just absolutely dominate the Dirty Dozen. A Dirty Dozen who's undefeated, by the way.
No longer holding that title. Yeah. And by an absolute stomp, too. That was something else. Really. Actually, I shouldn't say stomp. That's a bad that's a bad term to call it, just an amazing comeback on the side of FNF and just something I shouldn't have seen. I'm disappointed I saw that. On the side of Dirty Dozen, I'm expecting a lot here. They're an undefeated team. Undefeated. That's not something you hear that often. 7 weeks. We were 7 weeks before this. They were 7-0. And this is their first loss, and they got 2-0'd. That's not
Yeah.
that's not what you want to be seeing. Just I'm just disappointed. I
I
feel like that's my best way to describe this. And I mean, I could talk about
oh man.
some of their macro mistakes here. I mean, yeah, they just were not going for the right picks. They Ash just didn't ult. They were behind in farm, and it's disappointing. And one thing I feel like I have to go back on is I was talking bad about that Galio pick in the beginning, and I still stand by what I said. And I don't think the Galio pick should have worked. But this Maokai had no farm. He had the early game pressure with those couple of ganks and everything, but he had no farm. He was able to fight. Sorry, he was able to fight the Galio early, but he didn't do anything with that. The Galio, sorry, what he should have done is he should have gone for more farm because he knew he was able to contest this Galio. Every time that Galio goes in for a Q, he can just use his twisted advance to get on the Galio and trade with him and actually win it because of Aftershock. But he just didn't do anything with this, and the Galio was able to just free farm on him. I mean, if we look at the gold difference here, the Maokai at the end has 156 farm compared to the Galio's 240. That's a almost 100 farm difference. That stacks. That adds up to a lot. And the Maokai, it really showed in the late game. I mean, he just wasn't able to tank hits or do anything for their team there. And what really sucks was also to see the Corki 3-0 just completely fall off.
Oh yeah, that was brutal for Chetty. But I think what a lot of this came down to is on an individual level, FNF are decent, just decent.
Decent.
But as a cohesive unit, once they fight together, holy crap, do they fight together?
They
They
really
were
do
able
there.
to do one of the most miraculous team fights. I can't call it anything short of a miracle how they changed what was an inevitable defeat into a certain victory.
That's for
It,
sure. And I feel like something just clicked in their head. I feel like after that one fight, it might have been a little bit of a desperate thing for them. And after they won it, they something clicked in their head. They're like, guys, we can win this. And then they just completely played everything right. They went for every smart move. They won every fight, and it was just free from there. It was just free from there on out. Now, who do you think was the MVP of this match?
oh, it's 1-2Z. There's
One,
no other
two,
way
Z.
about it. He absolutely had the best positioning in both games. He positioned beautifully. He always got out a great amount of damage. Even though Bravo Wolf out damaged him in that last game, which was a huge surprise to me, 1-2Z was safe. He got damage. He has great KDAs in both games. Absolute beast. I have to give him the MVP.
I'm actually gonna have to disagree with you on this one here.
Are you
I'm
going for
gonna,
boosted?
I'm going for boosted. I feel
I
like the
can't blame you.
jungler holds a lot of pressure in these kind of games, and he really did it right. He went for the right engages. He sacrificed himself. He fought with honor, gave his life for the Tristana, said, Tristana, here's your kills, here's your picks. I'm giving it all to you. Even if you look at it, the Jarvan scorer, 2-4-19, he has all those assists. He has more assists than kills that the Tristana participated in. The Jarvan was able
Than
to do
anyone
stuff.
else in the game.
Yes, he does. And he had a little bit of questionable decisions. The flash was a little bit weird. He backed off the dragon, but he did what he needed to do in the fight, and that's what I like to see. And I have that kind of experience with my team right now. We're gonna go a little bit off topic here, but when I play as the ADC, and I play hyper carries, and we play more of a scaling kind of comp and everything. So I typically scale, and since last week, my game was streamed, they gave me the MVP too because of my positioning and my kills. But for me, as a player, it felt so free to me because I was able to have a Shen in my front line, a Sejuani or a Jarvan up in the front. I had a Morgana shield on me, and I had a Leona. I have no reason I should be losing this kind of stuff. So that's why I'm gonna have to give it to boosted Lee Sin instead of the Tristana.
At the end of the day, both did their roles spectacularly. So hats off to FNF as a whole team.
Now, do we want to try and message Boostedly Sin to see if we want to try and get an interview with 12Z and Boostedly Sin?
Hey, why not?
Hey, why not? All right, let me hit him up here real quick. Man, that was a great series here. And the last Rampage game that I did actually stream, it was so much different. It was just a complete mess on the side of both teams the last time. And seeing this, I really think that they're actually starting to improve, and I can see why these guys are the top teams. The last people I watched were not doing so well in their games. At the time, it was week 5. I think some of them were like 2-3 and 1-4, and I could just see the difference. These players are playing smarter, and I'm not gonna lie, they're playing like gold and platinum players at some points of the game. They didn't give up. They came back. They had some smart macro. I think they could have gotten the inhibitor at the middle towards the second game there. But that's a story for a different day. They were able to still do other stuff. They rotated for the dragon, like I said. They split, like I said. They pushed top, like I said. And they did everything that they should have. Do you have any final thoughts here? Because until I hear back from their captain, we'll wait off on that interview. All right.
No final thoughts at all. As I said, hats off to FNF. They have, for their division, they have amazing macro game, and if that continues to improve, I do believe this is a finals team right here.
They're actually definitely looking at playoffs here. And I'm actually quite excited to see them. I'm not going to lie. I'll definitely be watching them. I'll definitely be following them, and they definitely got a fan from me now. After seeing that comeback, I'm quite impressed, and they do actually want to do an interview, so I'm just waiting for them to get into comms, and we'll jump on in there with them. I'm excited to talk to 12Z, and I'm excited to talk to Boosted Lee because I definitely want to see what was going through his head when they were going for that 5v4 engage in the mid lane. So let's see if they're in there. Not quite in there yet. They'll be in there soon.
I want to hear about Boosted's fail flash. That's all I care about right now. That fail flash successful engage.
Fail flashes are some of the greatest thing in League of Legends, especially competitive. But he had the right idea, and I'm proud of him for it. It looked a little awkward because with the Raptors wall on that side, it's kind of got like a little bit of a dip. I feel like if he actually like went all the way into the dip, if you know what I mean, and then EQ to the wall, it would have looked a little bit less weird. Or maybe he was actually trying to get over the wall. It just wasn't quite the right distance. But I mean, that's okay. Stuff happens. Boosted Lee Sin is in General 1, so let's move on over, see what he has to say about the Flash. How's it going, my guy? A great victory coming out!
Hello.
Hey.
All right. All questions right now. I got the number one question. How was your fail flash so successful?
Oh yes, my fail flash. Yeah, I don't really want to talk about that. That wasn't part of the plan, and it just kind of like worked out. Like, I don't know. I was like, I need help. Like I was communicating, and then I failed flash, and then team was there, and it was just, yeah, it was. We just turned it around. It was good. It just kind of worked out.
One thing I
Not
kind
much
of
I can
want
say about
to
that point.
One thing I want to kind of talk about here is the communication, especially in the early game of game 2. It wasn't looking for good for you guys. They had a 4.5k gold lead. The last time I saw they had a really big gold lead. And I just want to know what was going through you guys' head. What was your game plan? How are you going to get back in that game? What were you looking for?
Yeah, that game two was very very hard in the early game. They drafted overall a better comp in the early game than our composition, and we didn't win the early game scrimmages, so we were even put more behind. So knowing our strengths of our comp that we scaled late better than them, we were basically waiting for the late game to for our comp to come online in hopes to uh, get back in the game. And they basically, before even late game hit, gave us a free engage in the mid lane onto the Xin Zhao,
No, it's
and
definitely a great pick.
which was not even really planned. It kind of just worked out.
Hey man,
And
it worked.
it was originally supposed to go on to their carries, and then everyone flashed except him. So I was like, might as well go on him. But yeah, other than that, we were just trying to wait for the late game, and they gave us pretty much a free flight that wasn't supposed to be free, but ended up being free. So yeah.
Well, it worked out absolutely well for you guys, and I definitely think that Tristana actually really popped off. We did give her the MVP. Well, actually not me. I gave you the MVP. I got you. But Deserex gave the MVP to 1-2Z due to his positioning. I was hoping to get him in here too, but that's okay. So I want to ask another question here. There was a part where you guys decided to go for a dragon. I'm not quite sure if this was Ocean, Earth, or what it was. I'm not sure if it was game 1 or game 2 actually. Memory is hard, but the Alistar went to go jump over the wall and keep them off so you can get the dragon for free. Now, you ended up getting the dragon,
Yeah, that was game 2.
but that was game 2? Okay. There was a little bit of a miscommunication going on, it looked like, and you backed off and you just like almost gave up the dragon completely before you guys had to turn around and get it. I just want to know what was going on communication-wise. Did the Alistar communicate that correctly? Were you panicked and just backed off? What happened?
Uh, yeah. In that specific situation, there was a miscommunication of what the team wanted to do. The Alistar called one call, and the rest of the team called the other. And his call was basically that he would go over and basically stall for us to get to the drag, finish the drag. And on the opposite end, the rest of the team called pull the drag instead of him going over. Just pull the drag out, and no one had to die. Just pull it out and finish. So me, including everyone else, was starting to back off, trying to pull the dragon while the Alistar went in. So after he went in, we just basically said, well, he went in, just finish it, and we finished the dragon.
Okay. All right, I can see the argument coming out from both sides here, and I do kind of agree with you. If you had just pulled that away, then things would have gone out a little bit better. But at the same time, the Zen Xiao could have used the explosive plant to get over and get on you guys, and that could have completely helped them to win their
I'm pretty
game.
sure Explosive Plant was down for that.
Was it down? I actually thought it was up. I thought I saw it, but if it was, and if it wasn't, doesn't
Either way,
matter. You guys got
I
the
stand
dragon.
by my team's call. So
Okay, I like that. All right, Deserex, do you have any questions?
No, I'm ready to close this one out.
Well, I'll finish it with the final question then. How does it feel to take down the undefeated team?
it feels really really fucking good.
Oh, I can imagine it feels really good.
Yeah, I very happy with my team's performance this week. We've been improving every week and improving what we need to work on, and so every week we'll just keep getting stronger and go from there.
Sounds great, man. All right, thanks for coming around, doing this little interview here with us. I'm sure it was a little bit hard to recall some of the things I asked, but I just wanted to point out a few specific things in that game that really boggled my mind. Great game overall. Was really proud to see it. It was a little bit disappointing in some parts, as I stated, but great series, absolutely exciting with an amazing comeback, and I hope to do this again.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Thanks for having me on. Fortunately, my 80 carry had to run out. Otherwise, he would have came on for the interview as well.
Oh,
But
that's quite
he
unfortunate.
had to run. So yeah, thanks for having me on the interview. And anytime you want to stream our matches, please, we will gladly be streamed.
I'll take you up on that
Or
offer, and I might come in and cast next week. That was such a great game, and you definitely got a fan, like I said.
thanks a lot, man. Really appreciate it, and really appreciate the interview and the stream.
All
So
right.
yeah,
Me and Desrush are going to move back into our little session. We'll see you around.
yeah.
Cut him off there a bit in the end. My bad. We were dragging on a little bit. So, just to wrap this up here, 30 dozen, now 7-1, and FNF, correct me if I'm wrong here, were they 6-2 now?
They're 6-2 now.
6-2 now. Great things. Dirty Dozen still looking better for playoffs here. I'm really hoping to see FNF just win out these couple of games and Dirty Dozen actually lose. I gotta admit, I don't like Dirty Dozen. I don't like them.
The bias kicking in.
The bias is kicking in here. You can't have me casting their games because I will be rooting for FNF all the time. All right, let's wrap this one up here. Thanks for tuning in. If you haven't checked out the Risen Discord, go there. Go to Risen subreddit r/Risen Esports. It's a great place, great community, and great tournament. Thank you so much for watching.